The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
It's time to go on the mat, a presentation of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum. It's brought to you by Rolling Ford in Shell Rock.
Welcome to On the Mat. This is Jeff Bradley hosting the once a month UNI Wrestling cast here. Got head coach, University of Northern Iowa with me, Doug Schwab. He's also an Olympian and NCAA national champion. And we're going to get started. We're going to have him the whole hour, so we're going to cover soup to nuts for UNI wrestling. But we're going to get started with a couple things near and dear to Doug's heart. Well, first of all, good afternoon, Doug.
Good afternoon, Jeff. I'm thinking about soup now.
Your beloved Red Sox
Yeah.
went down for the count a couple nights ago.
Yeah, they got.
What? Are you okay? Do I have to talk you off the ledge? You okay?
No, I don't need to talk me off the ledge. I mean, they got beat, plain and simple. I mean, the Indians played better than them and didn't find a whole lot of holes for a lot of their. They tightened up a little bit, but I don't like seeing Ortiz leave that way, but they got a pretty good young team coming back.
Indians played real good. That AL East, phenomenal. With them, Toronto, Orioles, just what a division. And I think you almost beat each other up so bad that you might not have much left over for the postseason.
Well,
but the Indians played good.
Well, they should have had home field, though. The Red Sox blew it before that. I mean, I can't remember what they finished their last 9 games. They had that 11-game win streak, and they were on a roll, and then they fell off hard. They should have had home field, and I think it would have changed things, but that's the way it goes. So, on to next year. Now I'm a Cubs fan.
So now, just yesterday, I know you and some of the other UNI coaches had a little fundraiser for UNI softball. Mm-hmm. I think it was Coach Jacobson, Coach Farley, yourself, Jaden Spencer, I believe, also.
Yep, she hit, yep.
So explain what you did. I don't know how you finished, so either you can really puff your chest out and brag, or you can.
Yeah, I should have brought my award with me, but softball's done a hit-a-thon for the last few years, so they go out and get pledges, like straight donations, or they get a pledge per foot, and they asked me to be part of it. I know Coach Jake was part of it last year, and a few other coaches, and they asked me to be part of it this year, and certainly, want to be able to help the softball program any way we can, and just get out and get amongst other coaches and spend some time with them too, and just give back to each other. So a little bit that I could do, me go out and hit a few balls and raise some more money for them, and maybe gets a few more fans in the stands for them. Yeah, something I really enjoy doing, and actually hit the longest ball, 364. So
that's good poke.
Hit it well. Nice line drive right over center field, and rolled for quite a while. So it was a good one. So
then I have to know. Okay, then you had the longest. Who was number 2?
I think Farley. Farley hit the next longest.
Coach Farley.
Yeah.
And then Jaden come in third, or Coach
I think
Jacobson?
No. Coach Jake struggled a little bit yesterday. He couldn't get those big, long arms extended. They kept jamming him,
pitching him high and tight. Well, that's good. That's all.
And I think conditions were good. They were going to have it last Thursday, and then it ended up being a perfect day yesterday. The wind was actually blowing out, and I think they're going to do really well for themselves. Raise a good chunk of money for their program. So, like I said, being able to be part of that and give back, and it's the least we can do for each other. So, great event. Hopefully, they have me back next year.
We're going to talk just a ton of UNI wrestling here in the second and third segment, but we've had some PWC events, Panther Wrestling Club events, which really help support some extra guys getting some payments, some money in their pocket. Let's talk a little bit about the golf outing we had. Well, I guess it was the last weekend of August.
Yep.
And how that turned out.
It's Randy and the crew that run that, Randy Schaefer, they do a great job. The amount of work that is taken into that. I don't think people understand that these guys all volunteer 100% of their time, and everything that we raise for the club is fundraised. From these events or people giving donations. So for these guys to be able to stay and train and have a volunteer coach with Brett Robbins, we wouldn't be able to have those things without the club. So it's a critical element to our program, and all the people that give back. We're grateful for them and thank everyone that gives their time to it. We had over 120 golfers, had a ton of sponsors. haven't got the full number as far as what we brought in, but it's always one of our biggest fundraisers. And just a great opportunity for. We see a lot of our alumni come back to it, and this year I actually saw a good handful of groups of new people too. So we always love to have new people that are involved and wanting to be part of the UNI wrestling family and program. So thank everybody that came out, and hopefully they had a great time. And I know we're at the same date next year, so look forward to just continue to build it. And I know we're looking at maybe doing another one, maybe in Des Moines area, kind of expanding that to get out to another group of fans. So I don't know, it's always a great event, and like I said, these guys always do a great job. We also had our shoot. Brett Robbins did a great job to take over that. Him and Kittleson, Brian Kittleson do a great job. We don't have to worry a whole lot about logistics and everything getting taken care of because I don't know anything about shooting. I don't know anything about traps. I don't know anything about any of that stuff, and all that stuff's taken care of, and those guys do a great job in having a great event that runs smooth, and people always seem like they always enjoy it and come back to it. So those are just two events that we recently have, and always just looking for people that want to donate and be part of the club.
Also, another fundraiser is Pledges for Pins. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm actually writing up a letter right now. I just went through everybody that's given since they started it, and we've had over 190 individuals. So there's been over 190 people in 24 states that have given since this started. We've raised over $130,000 since it started, and it kind of going through and just telling people and thanking them for what this has done for our program, because it allows us the opportunity to do things that we wouldn't be able to do, that our normal budget won't allow us to be able to do. And kind of went through, and I was telling them the things that it's done. It got us our mats reconditioned mats. That's a $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 thing. We wouldn't have got it done, but you need those you got to have a playing surface. The same thing as a basketball court, same thing as a football field for us, and we're on it every day. So that was one thing that we got done. We got a new mat, and renamed it the Bill Smith mat. Wouldn't have been able to do that without Pledges for Pins. We got a new weight room this year. Got that room expanded, and now we have a weight room that's dedicated just to wrestling. There's not a lot of those out there. So those little things that we're able to do, they're little things, but they're big things, and it keeps us advancing forward. And Sandy Stevens, she was the brainchild. It was her idea, and I've seen other teams have taken that and used it. But she's the one that started it, and it started with the Hall of Champions. That's where the first thing we're gonna do things to continue to upgrade the West Gym, and say without her, we wouldn't have this. So grateful to her and everyone that's given, and hopefully we have a banner year this year, because there's other things that we want to continue to get done, other signage that we want to get in the West Gym. We want to make sure when people come into the West Gym, they know it's the home of UNI Wrestling, and then we also are able to preserve the history the history that's happening. We want to be able to continue to add that and just make it a place where people come in and are like, man, there must have been an older group in today that was coming around checking out campus. They hadn't been back for a while, and they're like, this place hasn't changed a whole lot. So it's cool that we're able to keep and blend the old and the new, and then and continue with that history. And with being an older building too, there are some things that have to get upgraded. And I could go through all the things that it's done. The weight room equipment that we have now, we wouldn't have that without the Pledges for Pins. So really, the things that it's done for us are countless and endless, but they make a huge difference. So anyone that gives and maybe you think that $1 per pin isn't a big deal, but man, all of a sudden you get 100 people that are giving $1 per pin. That makes a huge difference. So anything that people are willing to give, we'd appreciate it, and they can email me or come into the office, and we have those pledge forms available. So they said I could go on and on about it, but it's been a huge benefit to our program. I can't tell you how many times we're like, well, we can use Pledges for Pins for that. So it's awesome to have. So thank everybody that's given, and there'll be a letter coming out to them just to kind of explain and show some pictures of what we've been able to do with it and what we plan on continuing to do with it moving forward.
So any discussion bringing technical falls into that for half the price or anything, or is it just got to be a pinfall?
Yeah, the pinfall, is the way to go. The pin's the way to go. There's everyone. everyone gets on their feet and gets excited about a pin, and technical falls really obviously are. I mean, it's more of a dominance thing when you can score that many points on a guy. But we hadn't talked about that. I know we kind of mentioned it before, but I think we'll just stick with pledge for pins right now.
And then let's talk about the Hall of Fame weekend. About 3 weeks ago, inducted a great UNI wrestler, Rich Powers, and a great UNI wrestling supporter, Sandy Stevens.
Yeah, wow, that was a good class for us. Got to see those guys before the ceremony. Got to talk with Rich. He used to be in the area, and now he's moved away. He's in Bondurant as the superintendent there. I know doesn't get back as much as he'd like to, but it was great to see him and his family. And actually, his wife is from Osage originally, and got to see his mom. His mom taught for a long time in Osage School. Miss Snyder was a math teacher and one of my favorite teachers, so I hadn't got to see her for a long time. So it was good to kind of catch up and honor him for having an incredible career that he had. Was 3-time All-American, I believe.
He's 3-time All-American. I think he's still got the pin record.
Ton of pins. And
top 3 in wins.
So had a great career. Definitely, well-deserved. And we love putting wrestling people in the Hall of Fame. And then, Sandy, she does way more than just wrestling. I don't know if anybody knows that she has scholarships in education. She has scholarships in Bear's name. So She does a lot to give back just to the university as a whole. There's no better advocate for the UNI and for UNI wrestling in the country. She's always going out and talking about what it's done for her and her family, her husband, and what she sees happening now. So I was very happy to see her get inducted and get her a chance to talk about her husband a little bit and bring up some things that. That maybe people don't know. He's been gone for 15 years. I think she posted up. She's been gone for 15 years, but you wouldn't know it's been that long. Just the love and feel that you still get, and it's just like it's real. It's so real. It's pretty cool to see that she still has that type of feeling. I think you hope you have that kind of love. If you could have one, and you could put it out there. And that's what I told our guys because she came and talked a little bit. She came because we put a picture up of Bear. I don't know if she remembered. We got the new weight room, and when she gave us a gift to do the wrestling room, he's like, "Well, when you ever get a weight room done, I want you to be able to put this picture up. This is important to me. I think it'd be a great place for it." And I don't know if she remembered that I remembered, but I remembered. And then we got that picture up, and she came in and saw it, and you could kind of see it was just there was a piece of Bear. Always in that wrestling room, so it was a great way for us to honor her, and I'm, he said, so happy for her to be inducted to the Hall of Fame because it was well deserved and earned.
You're listening on the mat with Jeff Bradley and head wrestling coach, University of Northern Iowa, Doug Schwab. Last thing we'll talk about before we get into the wrestling part. Great homecoming event we have. We have 2 different, a Friday night practice, a Saturday. Just an open gym where the guys are just scrapping, and then a great tailgate. Talk a little bit about that.
Really, that's when we came back and me and Mark came back, to really start this program. It was kind of his really brainchild. He's like, hey, there's multiple reasons to come back for homecoming. Let's make this an event. And I can tell you, there was a few of those years we had the biggest tent by far. I know now they got this huge Hy-Vee thing, which takes over like almost half of that field over there, but we had the biggest one, for a long time, and we had a lot of people again this year. Just a great event to get our alumni back, to be able to honor them, and then also to kind of usher in the new year and get our families back around and get them to spend some time around the coaches and the kids, and get our fans to be able to have some time around the coaches and kids, and because. Once you get in the season, sometimes you don't get those opportunities as much. So, and just get up and talk and honor some people too, because there's always people that have given back to our program, and we want to recognize. And that was one thing. I got to give my brother a lot of credit on. Hey, this is how we're going to run this thing, and this is what we're going to do. And hopefully I know we'll continue to carry it forward, and just want to continue to do the job where we honor people. And this year, we were able to honor the Whittinger brothers. People's Insurance. It was pretty cool. We had. There's always a lot of names. There's always a lot of people, but those guys stuck out. Let's just honor just those guys. this time. And Josh was able to make it up there, and hopefully those guys understand how grateful we are for all the support that they've given our program and the difference that they've made. When you talk about when you came here, Bradley, they're probably talking about doing a locker room then, right?
I think they always promised real high and delivered pretty low. So I think they did. Yeah.
So that was it was a long time coming, and we wouldn't, not to mention they're small town Iowa boys, man. I mean, they're small town Iowa boys from Cresco. I played baseball against them. I wrestled against them. I've known of them for a long time, but small town Iowa boys with big time goals and dreams, and their company just is flourishing. It's in how they treat people and their employees and how they're going about things. It's something that UNI Wrestling, we want to be associated with too, and we're appreciative of everything they do. They'll bring 50, 60 people to meets, I mean, they're at every kind of event. You're talking about PWC. They're at those events. They bring people all the time. So the support that they've given and continue to give to us is second to none. And we want to make sure that they understand how much we appreciate it. So we got to honor those guys, and then we got to get up and talk about the team, and get the guys up and get some guys to talk a little bit. And some guys did a really good job. The pat thing is when guys come up, I don't like to do this. Yeah, well, not a lot of guys do like to get up in front of people and talk, but getting them up there, and I guess what was most exciting to me is, you get a guy like Albert that comes up, and the first thing wasn't about him. It was about, I can't wait to see Dylan Peters get back on the mat and wrestle, and I can't wait to see Jake Code. I can't wait to see Max. I can't wait to see these guys go out and compete. When you have your guys on the team that excited about it, I think you're in a really good place. Not us. We're not bringing it up. Those guys brought it up. I didn't really even talk about the team and the outlook. I talked about what we're trying to do and how we're trying to build these guys as men and lifetime competitors. I mean, that's what I talked about doing, and talk about being grateful for all the people that came out and how thankful we are, because it doesn't happen everywhere. I mean, it doesn't. We're lucky to be in the state of Iowa where wrestling is important, to have the history that we've had, and to have people that continue to give back and want to come out and just be around the program and the guys. And we got some incredibly special kids. So, that's kind of it in a nutshell. We have one of our alumni, Dave Williams, comes back and cooks, and I think it was the best ribs yet. He does a great job, and I got to come about 7:30 in the morning and got to see kind of the work that these guys do. They put in a full day.
Oh, it's a full day.
I mean, the work that they do, and they feed the whole group. Yeah. And so I think it adds kind of to what we're trying to do, instead of, giving them some hot dogs. I mean, all of a sudden you got something bigger and better, and you got somebody that wants to give back to the program. He donates it all. He donates it all, his time, and so, we're thankful for him and what he did and help making the event what it is. So I know next year we look forward to making it bigger and better, honoring some people, and having a great homecoming again.
No, it's a great event. We're going to talk about some of your assistant coaches in the next segment. We'll be back with Doug Schwab and On the Mat.
Log on and listen online at 1650thefan.com, the online home of 1650 The Fan.
Welcome back to On the Mat. I'm Jeff Bradley. You are listening to 1650 The Fan. And we have head coach, University of Northern Iowa, doing his second segment. Actually, he's going to do all the segments. He's got the whole show. He's got broad shoulders. He can carry the load. That is Doug Schwab. Doug, we left off. I want to talk about your assistant coaches a little bit. You talked about your older brother, Mark. He stepped away last year looking for some other opportunities. And let's talk a little bit about Mark, and then we'll go through your coaching staff for this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to chase your passion. You got to go in. That's really what he wanted to do. He wanted to be able to go chase his passion in doing public speaking, his opportunities to succeed, and then, as Men and Warriors, he's doing one-on-one things. So it's something that he's wanted to do for a long time, and it was the right time. It was the right time and right timing, and we're fortunate enough to have some guys around the program that you could put in and fill the roles. Brett Robbins has been part of the team since I got here. And talk about one selfless individual that is all about the team and will do anything that you ask, and also is he's a good coach, becoming a great coach and wrestler too. So you have all those elements, and it was a very, very easy choice for me to move him up and put him in a full-time role as being a volunteer assistant. he's doing a great job. I'm excited, just the growth, and I feel like we have, with Lee's second year, and Randy's, I think he said 15 or 16 years at UNI,
probably, yeah.
And then now our 7th year together, feel like there's we gel really well together, and I think that's really important. There's some continuity on the staff, and then they're not just yes men either. I mean, we're all looking at things from our own eyes, but we're all looking at it to make UNI wrestling better, and we're united front when we're out amongst our team. But we have a lot of discussions about what's the best way to go about things, and we're always looking at ways to do things better. And sometimes you do some things that you haven't done before, but that's okay. I think that's part of being a coach. Sometimes you're so afraid to make a mistake that that then you don't do anything. And we've definitely made some changes, not in our standard as far as how we train guys and the expectations that we have, but just kind of some of the structure of things and how we're going about it, and how just the skill work that we're trying to do in some of the areas, and trying to get some guys some more time away, just so they're excited about the sport. We want guys excited when they come in, and with the class, I know we'll talk about a little bit that freshman class that came in last year. They're driving hard. They have some huge goals and dreams, and they want to see this team do some things that it's never done before. And they're certainly on their way about how they're doing things. And we have a really good mix this year. I know I'm kind of maybe glossing over my coaches, but you're only as strong as your staff. I think hopefully I said that, and I know I said that at homecoming, that man, it can't be a one-man show. One man can only, one guy can only do so much. You want to have, and I feel really good about the group that we have, and then beyond that, the group of other supporters that we have. It's not even just our 4 coaches. Cruz has a role. Our club guys have roles. So and they're all adding to it. And I think that's the thing that we're trying to make sure that whoever we bring in our program, if it's a recruit or an athlete, that they're adding to our program in some way. They're not just there trying to exist. They're there because they're making it better. And I feel like we have that up and down in our staff and in our lineup.
You're listening to On the Mat on 1650 The Fan with Doug Schwab, and I'm Jeff Bradley. Hey, I want to ask you now, we talked a lot about fundraising in that first segment. If I wrote you a check for $100,000 right now, and I can't do that, so don't get all excited. But let's just say this. Let's say somebody gave you $100,000 right now. What would you do with that for the program? Personally, I know what you do. You go buy some Big Papi uniforms and Dustin Pedroia hats and stuff like that. But like for the program, what would you do? A facility is getting pretty dang close. Some of it is just some space issue right now for our offices and those things. Okay. Kind of some other people find a space in other places. We certainly are making do with what we have. But for the guys, for the wrestlers, we're close.
We're pretty dang close. Our locker room's good. Our weight room's good. There's some other things that you'd like to be able to provide, and we're being able to do that from a nutritional standpoint. I don't know. They've really loosened up, being able to give guys snacks and things outside of their meal plan. So those type of things, and we're doing that. Could we do that at another level? That would be something you'd like to be able to do to provide those guys, just to make things convenient and probably as easy for them, as stress-free as possible, because some of these guys, a 19-year-old kid hasn't cooked a whole lot for himself. Right. So, you'd be able to have those things, and then we know they're getting nutrition. That would be something that we put into it, and I don't know. I'd have to think, we're in a pretty good spot. I just add to our budget, then you're able to maybe do a few more things that you weren't able to do. I want to make sure these guys are comfortable and make sure that we have everything necessary to stay at that next level that we want to get to. So I don't know if you can get your checkbook out, though, Bradley.
Yeah, it's probably going to bounce. It's going to be a little short, but I'll start it out. Let's talk a little bit about, and this is a tricky one. It's commitments, and I know you can't speak much on it, but we have had a few commitments here in the fall that, I'll just say are good for the program.
No, great. You always want to, and you always want to add to the family. I mean, you do. You want to add to the family, and the great thing is every one of these guys, they're excited to be here. They want to be here. They're looking to make this a better place. You know what I'm saying? They're not like, well, I guess I'll come here. You know, no, they're excited to be part of the program, and that's a testament, I think, to our guys. You know, when they get to come in, man, they feel like this is home and this is a place they want to be, and you know, the other guys on the team are excited about the program, and I think we're just real with who we are. It doesn't change because it's a recruiting weekend. That's the same guy we're going to be a year from now or a week from now. It doesn't, just who we are. And I think that being who we are, that's what the kids that fit. I mean, then they want to be here. We have got some commits and certainly looking for some more. I know some more are going to come down the line, hopefully soon. But with what we have in the room and what we are going to put in the room, you know, you can start looking at that roster and being like, wow, that's a team, you know. I don't think anybody could look. I don't think there's a fan if they're being honest, they couldn't, not a way they couldn't be excited about what's in the room right now and what's coming in our room.
So now let's talk about the red shirts we have this year. My count, I think it's 9 or 10 new guys, redshirt freshmen. I'm assuming they're all going to redshirt. I know Bryce didn't redshirt last year. I would assume they're going to redshirt. Don't have time to single out every one. Let's talk a little bit about the bookends, though. 125, you have Rudy Yates.
Yep.
And then heavyweight, you have Carter Isley.
I think we have 9. We have 9 and 10 new guys with Hoffman. You know, was a JUCO guy, but 9 guys. They've done a good job this fall. You know, we made them get up early for lifting. You know, 3 times a week, and they've dealt with that well. There's always a lot of change going on right now when you're going away from home the first time. You know, you're trying to get things figured out for the first time, and they've handled it well. I think they're all growing and getting better, and really coming together as a group. You know, I think sometimes you gotta suffer a little bit together. Some suffering builds a lot of bonding, and there's a little bit of rite of passage in that. You know, guys come in and you know, you do kind of got to earn your way. Everybody has to. So they've done a great job with that. You kind of talk about Isley and Yates because, you know, on paper those are definitely the 2 biggest names, but you know, those aren't the only guys that you're certainly going to hear more about. I can guarantee you that.
Well, I'll say this: that's the most prepared, college prepared freshman class you've ever had, and that's my opinion.
I'd say last year.
You think so?
Yeah, last year's class was pretty prepared and pretty high level,
top to bottom. Yeah, you know what, you're
pretty dang good job. You know, and some of those guys weren't there, but now look at where they're at a year later. You know, and that's a testament to the work that they've done. And I just pulled a couple guys aside in the last week and was like, remember where you're at a year ago? You know, look at how much ground you've covered. This isn't, you know, it's incredible, and not in a way that, hey, I want you to back off it, but hey, man, you've done a great job, and that deserves to be recognized. And I'm going to tell you when you do a great job. I'm going to tell you when you're not cutting it either. You know, we're going to do both of them. But I think it just tells you where these guys can be in a year, and how much ground they can cover when they're in the right frame of mind. They have the right group of people around them, and they're willing to put the time and work in. I mean, you will get better. You will. Is it always going to be easy? Are you going to have to sacrifice and give up some things that the normal college student is going to have to? Yeah. But you know what? You're part of an elite group.
Right.
And to be part of that elite group of 34, 35 guys, you are going to have to give up some things. And all those guys have done it, and they've done a great job. And man, I tell you what, they're bonded as a team. I'm excited about where that young group's at, and just continue to watch and see them grow and how they handle these adversities. Because, man, I tell you, you've been there. It can be really hard. Those first couple of years can be really, first year, first month.
First year's tough, and then just keep smashing it down. Yeah. August is hard. September, October, it starts getting a little bit easier. if you embrace, the grind and the school and the athletics,
Yep.
it gets easier. If you don't, boy, it's tough. It's tough going.
But I tell them all the time, I say that's part of growing, man. Being uncomfortable and having some adversity, that's the only time you grow. You don't grow when things are easy and going well and everything's smooth sailing. That's not when you grow. You grow in these times, and you're seeing them do it, and kind of starting to see some of that uncertainty is starting to move away from them a little bit. But that takes some time too, because you're still not sure. Those eyes are big, and can I really do this?
I know your goal with a lot of those red shirts, anywhere in that 20, 30 matches for that red shirt year.
Yep.
You see any of those guys, or do we have any bids that we can go to take a couple guys in the Midlands?
Yeah, I've reached out to Midlands. He hasn't got back to me yet. We will have some. I think we have 15 spots for scuffle. So maybe. I would say that looking at our roster, there's 15 guys that. I mean, there's going to be more than 15 that we want to be able to take. I don't know if it'll be a red shirt or not, but hopefully we've went with Midlands before, and we may go back there next year. We're going to try out the scuffle this year. I think it's a great event, and we're going to test that out. I would hope that we get some spots for Midlands and be able to send a few guys over there and kind of test and see where they're at against that type of competition. We were able to send Hochschlag and Thompson and Luhan wrestled in it last year, so I think it was a good thing for them to see where they're at, and we'll always continue to do that. Yeah, 25 matches. We're pretty fortunate, and we can get to most of our events or within an hour, 2 hours. They'll go down to one in St. Louis area that's about 4.5 hours, but everything else is within. You go to Mason City, or you go to Des Moines, or you go over to Dubuque, or you go to Iowa State. So everything else is pretty dang close. So I know in the UNI Open, so our fans have plenty of opportunity to be able to go and see those guys compete within an hour and a half.
You're listening to On the Mat with Jeff Bradley on 1650 The Fan. My guest, head coach, University of Northern Iowa, Doug Schwab. Doug, let's talk now about the team or the potential team. Obviously can't go through the whole roster. I'm going to throw out names that maybe are the front runners. I'm not taking away from anybody or giving anybody a spot. And you can add and subtract how you want. But let's start right at 125 with Dylan Peters.
Well, he's two-time All-American coming back for his senior year. I think everyone knows that he tore his knee last year, and he's got that fixed. He's been got cleared almost 3 weeks ago. So he's been back on the mat, just working things back into it. I'm not in any rush to get Dylan back out there. There's no need, man. We want to have him. We want to have him for the end of the year, and I know I know what his timeline is, and I know what my timeline is. And until you see some certain things, you just, hey man, we'll put you out there when we know you're ready, and not kind of hope that you're ready, but we know you're ready. The thing about him is the first day when he came back, he wanted to get on the mat, and worked out with him, and you wouldn't have known he's been off the mat for 6 months, so I can tell you that. Hey, he's just strong as ever, was smooth, and I think for him it's actually going to be, you hate to say that an injury can be a good thing, but he's never been injured his whole life. He's never really been away from the sport, and all of a sudden you get away from the sport, and man, you get really hungry for it. And to me, man, how can you not have some confidence in a whole nother level of belief in yourself when you can go out and do what he did last year? Because it would have been easy for him to just, my knee's torn, he never let on how much it hurt. I mean, there was times you could tell it was bothering him, but he still went out there and he soldiered on and ended up being an All-American for us. And I really think if we could just kept wrestling Friday night, he would have just steamrolled everybody. You could put anybody you want on there, but for him to do what he did is like it's huge. That was huge for our team, though, for our young guys to see that you don't have to be 100%, and for him too, man. Dang, I'm a really good wrestler, because I don't know if remember his sophomore year didn't go very well at the national tournament.
It was almost nightmarish, actually.
So for him to come back and to really, prove something to himself and to other people, I think is great, because he's going to be at a whole nother level this year. I have no doubt. And I'm really excited to see him out there. And you talk about some of those other guys. We do have Shore Memorial are two freshmen that they compete really well. They've had good summers. I don't know when Dylan's going to be back. So one of those guys is, I know that they're looking forward to that opportunity.
Yeah,
hey, man, if I need to go out there against Utah, if I got to go out there, I'm going. I'm ready to go, and I'm not going to back down from anybody. It's an opportunity because, man, you don't know what's going to happen throughout this year. So I know those guys are certainly chomping at the bit to get an opportunity. Obviously, you got to say Dylan's a front runner right now. He's pretty seasoned veteran. So,
right. No, those Schwarm and Roweeder, they're going to get matches, and maybe one guy, most of them, maybe not. I don't know, but they're great. I don't want to call them fill-ins. They're good Division I wrestlers. So
there's no fill-ins. That's what it's not fill-in. It's not a fill-in. It's a guy that's stepping up, ready for his opportunity, and that's what we don't want. I think it takes a while to build some depth. You don't want it where there's a huge drop-off from, well, if we don't have this guy, who is going to wrestle? We can throw somebody out there, and I tell you what, they're not going to flinch, and they're going to go out and they're going to compete their tails off.
A little bit less than a minute in this segment, Doug. Let's bounce up to 133. Josh Alber.
Alber, great summer, focused. I'll tell you a little bit about what August came and he was looking for a challenge, and he did the Everest rope climb on his own. And just little things where you kind of see a guy where he's kind of honing that edge. I like where he's at. He's actually bigger and stronger. We talked about getting bigger and stronger this spring and summer, and he is. I know that 33. Yeah, it's a good weight. It's a good weight in our conference. But I tell you what, I wouldn't want to have to tangle with this guy anytime. I'm really excited for where he's at, and I think you saw flashes of what he's capable of, and now you're going to see it consistently.
We'll pick up the rest on Josh in just a minute.
1650 The Fan, KCNZ.
Welcome back to On the Mat. I'm Jeff Bradley. This is 1650 The Fan. Special guest today, the whole hour, head coach, University of Northern Iowa, Doug Schwab. Doug, we just left off at 133. Any more remarks on Josh Alber, or should we move up to 141?
No, just that I tell you what, he's we got some young guys that are leaders on the team, and he's definitely one of them. He's a guy that, most guys are kind of afraid to call guys out. Man, if he doesn't feel like someone's towing the line, he'll call them out, and you got to have a guy like that. That's awesome. And the thing is that the other guys can't really call him out because he is doing things right. It's not like he's not living it and doing it. He's living it and doing it, and he's not afraid to call guys out. And you need that on a team because he wants his team to be great, and that's why he came here. And I'm really, really excited to see him compete this year.
Let's move up to 141. We have 2 or 3 pretty tough customers there. I'm going to pull out Jake Kofi just because he's ranked in the country and ranked in the MAC. You can talk about Jake or anybody else at 141 that you want to.
Yeah, Kofi had some big wins last year. Beat some ranked guys, and then he tore his ACL actually at the Virginia Tech match. And one thing that struck me after that match, I knew something happened. Talked to him, and we had Old Dominion on Sunday, which Makade was ranked pretty high, and he's like, I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle. It wasn't even a thought like, I don't really care if I'm hurt. I want to go out and compete. I want to go out and wrestle, and we wrestled Yauk that match, and Yauk beat him. But anyway, just that I know he didn't feel very good, and he's that type of competitor because he's a real quiet kid, So sometimes you're not sure, but that competitive fire's there. He's certainly working back into it. He's rounding back into shape. If anybody that's been off the mat for that long, there's nothing like wrestling shape. You can't duplicate it. You can't duplicate the wrestling shape, and you can't duplicate just the kind of that pound and grind in the feel and the timing of those things, and you can see everything's kind of honing in for him. And sometimes it doesn't come the way you want it, and you try to force it more, and then it actually gets harder. So he's certainly rounded into shape. You mentioned him, and then Jake Hodges is another guy who, man, works his tail off. He's probably one of the funnest guys a lot of times to watch in practice, just from the scrambles and how much he continues to wrestle, and he's had a really good summer. You never have to worry about that guy working, So there's a couple guys right there that you can put out there against anybody, and they're going to scrap, and they're going to make that guy have to work and earn for everything. And I don't know, like you said, who knows who's going to end up coming out of that mix, but we're going to be sitting well at 141.
So move up to 149. I would say the front runner, Max Thompson.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just what you see in the room. I have no the growth that I've seen in the last few months has been great to see. Just there's certain things that you're trying to work on as a coach and trying to get them to take hold. And it's really easy when at the start of a workout, for those things to take hold. But when you continue to see them take hold throughout a workout, and then the guy reminds himself after he falls off, that's what I've seen. And man, he's strong and he's just getting better. You can see certain things in guys' eyes too, and he's definitely one of them. And he's been a leader from day one. He's been a leader from day one just from how he works. A guy that I got to make sure mention, a guy like Hunter Washburn. Holy cow! Think of the growth that guy's made in the last year. I mean, you're if you're around enough to see some people that aren't around enough, they don't see it. They're like, oh, that guy's gotten better. But I mean, how much better? How determined he is and how focused he is fun to see. And then you get a guy like Jesse Etherington, who's we want to keep him healthy. But I tell you what, man, is he a dynamite? Right. Can he wrestle?
Just fun to watch.
Keep him healthy.
Let's move up to 157. Have a returning national qualifier. Won one or two matches at the tournament.
Won three actually.
You had that pigtail match. Yep. That's right. So he won 3 matches at the national tournament. Nationally ranked. Bryce Zadok. But another guy in there, Peyton Moore, is looking awful good in the room.
Yeah, that it's great to have options, and it's great. Here's the thing: is these guys are using each other as tools to make each other better. And man, when that room is that competitive and that high level, it raises everybody's level. And right now I can tell you from being there, having a guy like Zadok who was always like a push. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to make myself better. It wasn't ever a threatening thing. It's just like I'm going to work and make sure that I stay ahead of this guy and try to stay ahead of everybody in the country. And really it just becomes an internal battle how good you can be. I think these guys are getting that pretty well. Him and Steyert's going to be a scrap. Bryce is definitely, man, he is so much stronger. He was strong last year, but we talked to him about we want to. It's hard to match those legs. We want to be able to have some of that upper body strength too. And I mean, he's definitely leaner. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but man, he's cut, and he looks really good. Looks really strong and very focused and determined. Excited for the season, and I think there's certain things that you don't know till you go through a season. And I think he learned a lot about himself last year, and that he's pretty dang good. I can remember sitting and talking to him after the national tournament last year, sitting back in that hallway and now we're almost here to the season, and he's done a lot of things to close that gap to make sure that he can get off the bottom, because you got to be able to get off the bottom. But I tell you what, Peyton Moore, man, he hits some of the best attacks of anybody in our room. Just clean, crisp, got a little drag double and high crotch, and his is just the confidence and belief in himself, man. And once those things match, we're gonna have one heck of a battle at that weight.
Now let's move up to 165, and I'm not gonna say this is a done deal, but clear cut favorite I think has got to be Cooper Moore there. He's won the conference a couple times, three-time national qualifier, was round of 12 2 years ago, and just for my money, I've never seen him look as good in the last month.
Knock on wood, right? No, he's looked great. And I'm not going to make any excuses for him, but he just it was like one thing after another last year. It was tweaking an elbow, and then it was a concussion, and then it was getting sick, and then it was kind of like you get back up and you get back up, and then get back up and then get back up, and then it was like just a letdown after a letdown. Even when he beat Iowa State, he hurt his ankle. Right. It's a match where you feel good. You beat a highly ranked guy, and then but
then he's limping off the mat.
Yeah. So it was kind of that kind of year for him. But he has looked great. He looks strong. Having him excited and keeping perspective about the sport. You know what I mean? I mean, let's enjoy this, man. It's your senior year. You got your brother on the team. You got you got your teammates they're like family. Let's go out and honor those guys by just competing our hearts out. And then whatever happens. I do like how he looks. He looks really strong. I mean, the points that he's putting on the board. in the room in short periods of time is pretty fun to watch. So a couple other guys a guy like Isaiah Patton, man, has talk about the kind of work that guy's done throughout the year and how much better he's gotten, and it's fun to watch. A guy like Dan Kelly who's 57, 65, transferred from Iowa State last year. He won't be eligible first semester from transferring, but a guy like that, I mean, just talking about the kind of depth that we have, to me is exciting. That maybe Cooper does need a meet off too, and then you throw one of those guys out there and you're like, well, who the heck's this guy? Well, this guy can wrestle, and it gives them some valuable experience too. So.
Let's jump up 174. Taylor Luhan looks like he possibly the front runner there. Yeah,
just it's one of the weight classes we don't have a ton of depth. Right now we have a couple guys. With Schiedenhelm and Kordek are really the other two guys. Behind him, but had a great summer. I think you and I both know what this guy's capable of if he just lets it go and lets it fly and just kind of gets out of his own way. Because I tell you what, man, he is a physical specimen, and he knows how to wrestle. And he will pull guys to deep water. If he can allow himself just to pull those guys to deep water, and he's going to be in a real good spot. Because, even if you lose a match that way, guys never want to wrestle you again. And that's the kind of competitor that he is. And that's what excites me. And when you're looking at guys you want to get around the country, it was a no-brainer, man. We want to get this guy to be part of our team. He had options everywhere. He could win about anywhere, and had teams everywhere on him. He wants to be here, and look forward to getting him out on the mat and just kind of being able to let things fly. And we've been doing some extreme things that are testing him. But I tell you what, man, when he sets his mind to it, watch out.
You listen to On the Mat with Jeff Bradley, head wrestling coach at Northern Iowa, Doug Schwab, on 1650 The Fan. Let's move up to 184. That's just kind of a toss-up there between two or three different guys, I think. Yeah,
in Foster's an 84-pounder now. Horschlag, he's sturdy. I watch him wrestle Blaze and okay, this guy, he's done the work that we needed to do to build himself up. And they're both legitimate 84-pounders. And you put Hoffman in there, 84/97. Right. So you have some options in there to go with Bartel at 97. So kind of mix and match in between there. We have who's ever at 84, and I know everyone's saying that's the toughest weight in the country. They're gonna make a name for themselves. I have no doubt. I mean, whoever it is, like I said, I don't know, but I tell you what, they're gonna make a name for themselves this year, and it's gonna be fun to watch. And they between Foster and Hochschlag, very different styles, but both equally effective. And they both make guys earn things and wrestle through things. I'm excited to get both those guys out there and see who comes out of that mix, because someone's going to be hardened and man ready to make a statement at 84. And then, like you said, 97, Bartel, Hoffman, maybe one of those other guys, depending on what happens. Keeping Bartel healthy is really the biggest thing, for him, and he's getting there now. But being smart with him out throughout the season just to keep him healthy and keep him out there as much as possible.
And then heavyweight's going to be JJ.
Yep. I know he's been waiting for a while. He hadn't redshirted before and transferring in from South Dakota. I tell you what, man, is that kid is, man, he's got so much ability. I mean, some of the things that he does, and I'm watching him, I'm like, that's a 255, 60-pound guy doing that, Yeah. It's just for him, just believing it. I know he's excited to get out there, and we're excited to have him finishing up. It worked out really perfect for us with Blaze graduating last year, him having a year, and then you bring a guy like Isley in. So this is going to be a great senior year for him.
We just have a little under 3 minutes left in the show, Doug. I want to go through the schedule. We're not going to be able to hit everything. I'm going to give you kind of a little snapshot of the first part of it. Talk a little bit about it. We've got opening up on November 11th, double duel, Nebraska Kearney, Utah Valley. Exactly a week later on the 18th, Virginia Tech. They're going to come in top three, top five for sure. Old Dominion comes in the week after that, and then obviously the UNI Open December 3rd.
And UNI Open, Illinois, Missouri are bringing their full teams. So that's no joke.
Yeah.
That ends up, you start looking at open tournaments other than like a Midlands or something. I mean, you put those two teams in the mix with us, that already makes a great tournament. So I wouldn't have people just brush that UNI Open aside, because you're going to put teams like that. You put a guy like Isaiah Martinez, in the Dome. It's definitely worth it. Come watching. For us having all those meets really close, we have and then we have some throughout the year. But man, the farthest we travel before the Scuffle is to Wisconsin. That's pretty nice for us. That that's the farthest that we'll travel, and then we go to Scuffle. Scuffle's one of the best tournaments, obviously. You talk about Midlands and Vegas, but I think Scuffle's been one of the best ones. We get to see a team like Oklahoma State, which we don't get to see. And kind of talking about our home schedule too, it's spread out. We have a lot early, but then we have a couple in January, have a couple in February, and then we have our conference tournament in March. So if you haven't got your season tickets yet, I hope people understand that, $69 for 7 meets, 7 meets, an open, and then our conference. So, to have that many opportunities to see, to me, it's a pretty dang good deal. You go out and you take your family out to a movie. A couple movies, you're paying for that. And you're talking about getting 8-9, nights. And if you love wrestling, you love certainly come out and do it. I know we'd love to have that place sold out. I know you probably get into Oklahoma too. Oklahoma, we plan on having in the McLeod Center. So we'd love to have a 6,000 people, for a home meet. Right. And that's something I know we're going to work to do. And obviously, how we compete's going to make a huge difference in that. But March 4th and 5th. That's a big date for us. We're going to have an all-class reunion. So great home schedule. Just get out to the West Gym, get out to the McLeod, and come support us.
Doug, I want to thank you for being my guest on the mat today, 1650 The Fan, and thanks everybody for listening to the greatest sport in the world, amateur wrestling.
You've been listening to On the Mat, a presentation of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Gable Museum, and brought to you by Rolling Ford in Shell Rock on 1650 The Fan, KCNZ.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.